Guys, it's 7,000 degrees. And Mr. Binks is here. Mulch Masters is here to spread the mulch in the backyard. They're not doing the river rock today, but they should be unloading mulch for all of this back here. And then we will give you guys an update as they get this mulched up here in a little bit. But it's going to be all the way around the outside of the property there. And then this will be river rock right here. Guys, it's 7,000 degrees. And Mr. Binks is here to supervise the cleanup effort. But I got the sprinkler controller mounted facing the ceiling, so of course everybody in space can see it. And now we have to clean up this absolute disaster. Honestly didn't think it would be that hard, but seeing that I couldn't get any of the wires to fish through the wall, it took way longer than I thought. But I did get the wires fished through eventually, even though I had to make some extra holes in our pegboards. Which, by the way, I don't like the pegboard, but it kind of is what it is now. I'm not changing it at this point. So, the key to all good projects is to clean up. If you don't clean up, you won't have your tools for next time. I am a mess. I have been out here in the sweaty heat for hours. And it is time to clean this mess up now. So you guys are watching that. As I clean up the old... Mr. Binks, I know you want to go inside, but you cannot. Trying to keep everything together. But yes, we do have the new sprinkler system set up. It's not ideal because it's angled up towards the ceiling, which I don't like. It is working. It is a clean install. And that's what's the most important thing at this point. Cleaning up tools now. I literally disassembled my whole side of the garage for this, and I still need to clean all in this corner and get all the cobwebs and everything up that you have to do 2 or 3 times a year in Florida. But meanwhile, I'm just kind of putting everything back where it can go. Yes, it did take a lot off the wall. It even took a few pegs off the wall. So next up I have to do my smart landscape lighting timer, which is ordered, and it is going to go probably right here. Makes the most sense. But the cool thing about that is I can cut a pretty big hole back here because it's going to be covered to get the wires through. That was the worst because the wires did not want to fish through the wall at all. And that sucks. But now we get the next box in. We'll cut a big hole there. Use the same hole down here hopefully. Fish all the wires through, and we will be done with that project too. And then that's just for this side of the house, but the other side of the house will have its own Wi-Fi, low voltage, I know, landscape timer. So I'm going to leave all these tiles kind of over here while we do these projects because I have to get back in here pretty soon. And so a lot of the stuff I can leave, but I do need to clean up most of my mess. I can't handle, like, I'm OCD about messes. Nobody watches these videos anyway, so who cares? Get like 5 views per video. Hey man, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You try. Do your best. Your best isn't good enough. Like the song. All this stuff is trash. Let's not trash, needs to be hung back up on the wall. Guys, no mess. Look haggard. That's because I'm working. Things are happening. Making moves, you know what I mean? All this I will clean up because I want to vacuum all this and everything on the back of the wall as well. Yeah, yes sir. Absolutely. Get it out of your way.
And it's gonna be beautiful when you get done.
Yeah, it's a big project, man. It's been going for like a year almost.
Wow.
Alright guys, they have spread some of the mulch here. Looks like they're just working their way down. Give you an update once they get a better idea what's going on. I don't think I ever showed you guys this new rendering rig in action, but this is the new system that I bought. Been about a month now since I got it, maybe a little less, but you can see right here in editing, we've got a pretty long video. It's probably going to take way longer than that because there's a lot of picture-in-picture later in the video, and those take a lot of processing. It's right now, it's just rendering full screen video, which goes really fast, but once it hits that picture-in-picture, it's going to slow down tremendously. But as you can see here, our CPU, we got a 12-core Ryzen 9 5900X. We got a 3080, GeForce 3080, and it is maxed out, and the CPU is at 100%. I have it's actually water cooled as well, so the CPU is water cooled. So I've got the water cooler fans on high while it renders, and it is chomping up data right now. And there's a look at the CPU, GPU, doing its thing. So yeah, it thinks it's got 22 minutes left, but once it hits the picture-in-picture, it's going to be probably an hour. All right, these guys went to lunch. I started putting the mulch on pretty heavy over here. I asked them to give me a little less down here. I don't need it that thick, but you can see how good that looks now with it covering the nasty dirt. This area back here has never really been exposed, but when we put the fence in, we were able to cut all that stuff back. The only thing I'm really concerned about is right here. Just don't want it really thick so it flows over the wood, because right here is just going to be river rock all around this pool area, and it's going to continue all the way over here and keep going until there on the corner, and then everything from that point back will be concrete from that point all the way down the side of the house, so we don't have to worry about mulching that anymore. That should save, it'll pay for itself in a few years. This mulch is not cheap. You're looking at probably $1,000 worth of mulch for the front and the backyard that we have to do, you know, once every at least 2 years, sometimes more than that. Little front yard update too. Totally forgot about that. I did spend about 2 hours this morning here in the middle of my little island here, cleaning up those plants which grow out of control. They got pretty beautiful flowers, but they grow like crazy. I removed probably 75% of these plants. I also changed my landscape lighting out. It was AC, so it was 110 volt landscape lighting out here, and it causes nothing but problems when it gets wet. I did convert that to DC, and I have a smart landscape timer on the way for this guy. That's going to replace the old school photocell timer. But yeah, he just finished with the island, and then they will be remulching that, this, and this little spot over here. It will stop where this board is because there's going to be concrete pad that comes out to where the sprinkler head is right here. Where it goes on there, and then all that will be concrete as well. I did finish all the bush removal. The plumber came and capped off all the sprinkler heads on both sides that were never even used. I put them in way back in the day thinking I would need them, but I never actually used them. But all this will be concrete, and then there will be a shed right up against this AC that I will have to get big enough that I can get a golf cart in and out, because I don't want to park the golf cart in the garage, I don't think. But yeah, I worked on the landscape lighting here as well. We are moving that one into the garage next to the Y sprinkler timer. And so I converted the actual power wire that was out here to the low voltage wire to run the landscape lights for this side of the house. I bought 2 smart Wi-Fi landscape timers. One goes in the garage here, and it's going up against a wall that I'll show you here momentarily. And the other one goes here on this power wall, where that old school. This powers the whole side of the house. This side, entire side. The one in the garage will power the other side, and then we have a separate one in the backyard. This morning I spent the entire morning, about a good 3 hours, over here where the old Rainbird was, which is now for sale for 20 bucks. I spent the whole morning cleaning all this up, rearranging my tools, cleaning up my workbench, wiping everything down, and getting this ready for the low voltage landscape smart Wi-Fi timer, which is going to go right here underneath the Y sprinkler, and it will be powered right down there in the corner. And I have the low voltage wire here ready to hook up to it to power the yard lights. Just waiting for Amazon to get here, and that goes right there, and that will all be part of this video as a little update to the landscape. But so far so good. Right now I'm really going to try to get this edging fixed before they start throwing down the mulch. Out here in the garage with a little garage update. I spent a lot of time yesterday in the garage cleaning up this area and prepping it for getting the new outdoor Wi-Fi sprinkler controller for this side of the house, which is actually the mailbox side. We have 2 different front yard zones for landscape lighting, and they each are going to have their own 120 watt smart Wi-Fi timer. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit what I did here. So the first thing I did was clear this entire wall off. And after we got the Y sprinkler controller, I probably should just turn some light on in here, with the nice blinds that I have now. After we got the sprinkler controller installed right there, I was really wanting to get the new outdoor landscape timer mounted below it and such, where you couldn't see the wiring. As you can see there, the wiring is from the bottom. So I took everything off of this wall, all the pegs, all the tools, everything else that was on this wall, and I redid the whole entire wall. I had some old metal signs that I got from the market, from the flea market, and I hung those right there. And I went ahead and mounted the new DEWENWILS 120 watt low voltage landscape light timer controller. Right below it, it came out great. Here is the controller. I didn't show a lot of this because there's really not much to the install. I literally put 2 screws into the pegboards and then hung it, and I have everything zip tied nicely down there and power through there. Now the old system had 120 volts running outside, or 110 volts, whatever you want to call it, and the timer was mounted on the outside wall. I took this opportunity to use the same wiring for 12 volts to power the actual lights outside, so I didn't have to pull a new wire through the stucco and all that. I used the same ones. There's the Y sprinkler controller looking good and sleek. And then I hung some signs up around it to kind of give it a nice look, and my tools are all over here. So I did check the skill and routine last night. I have these guys coming on at dusk and going off at dawn, and it worked great. They did go off when they were supposed to go off, and I have 2 of these doing. I will have a third one. It'll be here today actually, and it's going on the other side of the house, although it'll be outside. I went ahead and took my label maker and made some nice labels for this. So that is a good update, and I also cleaned the entire, I redid the shelf underneath my workbench. I redid the entire top part. I cleaned it, I wiped everything down, and I moved a lot of the wiring, that like extra wires that I had, into this storage bin, which I still don't know where I'm gonna put that. But yeah, so it came out good. It looks awesome. Hope you guys like what I did with my work area. I'm a stickler about, you know, wiring and things like that in the presentation, and I think it came out great. Let me know what you guys think. Welcome to the front yard, guys. So all this was remulched. I don't think the backyard used as much as they originally said it was going to use, but they had a lot on their truck, and this hasn't been remulched in a while, so I told them to go ahead and let it happen. So over time, this mulch just blows away. It gets, you know, caught in your lawnmower, etc. So it has to be done. And this is what it looks like after the front yard got totally remulched. I spent about 2 hours in this garden yesterday cutting away most of these plants. I don't know what they're called. They're beautiful. They have really pretty flowers, but they were taking over this whole area. So I removed a bunch of those and got this landscape lighting updated to 12 volts instead of 110 because it was causing issues with power, obviously. Oh, we got moles in my brand new grass. Look at that mole. Climbed all the way under there. Yep. So yeah, that's what it looks like, guys, after the remulch. And now we just have to get river rock and concrete done and a shed. This is interesting. So this was actually buried in my yard. It's a big piece of concrete, and I actually took it out and sprayed it with stone spray paint to make it look like a boulder. Now it's a nice little garden boulder. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this update. I'll update you more when we get the river rock installed on Monday.